We want people to take this extremely seriously.
And we've already started to see damage and rescues necessary.
Well, guys, I'm not at a loss for words on many stories, but this is just heartbreaking, the amount of rain that this small community has received here.
And welcome back to Weather Nation. We're tracking the very latest with Hurricane Lane as it continues to impact Hawaii and the Hawaiian Islands.
Yeah, Lane is bringing heavy rain to the islands, already seen reports of flooding and some totals reaching over 2 feet for parts of the Big Island, and there's more coming on top of that.
Yeah, so let's take a look at what's happening with this storm system. We'll take a look at the very latest, and we're still talking about a powerful Category 3 storm with winds right around 120 miles per hour. So as we take a look at this storm system, we do want to point out that it's continuing with those strong winds to move toward the north at about 6 miles per hour, and it's getting pretty close and definitely already impacting the Hawaiian Islands. Now, when we take a look at some of the stats that have already come out, we've already seen places pick up more than 2 feet of rain just in the last 24 hours. We've seen other areas pick up 1.5 feet of rain, or nearly that, in the last 24 hours. And as well, we saw places pick up just under 1 foot of rain. And a lot of these areas that are being reported here come from the Big Island, and we're talking about the windward side of the island. So that windward side, when you take into account the topography and the fact that you have air pushing up against the mountains, that forces the air to rise up, that squeezes even more moisture out of the air. And so we're definitely seeing the results of that in the form of just some heavy rain. And when we take a look at the latest wind reports too, we've seen wind gusts reach up, or really the highest wind speeds, right around 43 miles per hour for Molokai, and also for a few other areas having winds anywhere from the 30s to the 40s. So we're definitely noticing stronger wind. And when we take a look at the water vapor imagery, this blob of moisture, this is Hurricane Lane, and as it continues to move north, we're noticing that moisture sweep across the Hawaiian Islands. So when we take a look at the alerts that are out there, we have hurricane warnings, we have really tropical storm warnings in place, and even hurricane watches in place across the islands. And again, the threat for just this system being out there continues. When we take a look at the forecast track, we're noticing that by Saturday morning, so just a day from now, we could still have a storm out there, a weaker storm, but a Category 1 storm bringing impacts to the islands, and then eventually it curves to the left. And then by the time we head to Sunday morning and even Sunday afternoon, the system should begin to move away from the island chain. But that was a look at some of the latest stats and just the initial forecast track, or really the latest forecast track with the system. Now let's take you out to pictures out of Hawaii. They've been dealing with a lot of impacts already, and one of those impacts being flooding.
And we are expecting more flooding on the way. This video just devastating out of Hilo, and we're expecting more heavy rain to fall on already saturated ground. Landslides, rock slides, all of that a threat as Hurricane Lane continues to impact the islands. I want to get you a look at our spaghetti plot here. This is showing the potential track that several models are bringing Lane through. Now you'll notice most of these make that turn, keeping Lane south of the islands and away from land. However, it's still close enough that we are going to be seeing some heavy rain impacts even for those northern islands as Lane makes that turn out to the west and then that track back off to the north heading into the early parts of the week. This means more heavy rain on top of what we've already seen. You'll notice these additional totals even for the Big Island, who's already gotten the brunt of it. We're looking at anywhere between 3 and 5 inches on top of what's already fallen. That's a lot. And for those northern islands, we see similar amounts on the way. Locally, we could even see 20+ inches. Because of this, flash flood watches and warnings are out for the islands, and the wind is coming with it. We are going to be seeing strong winds continuing to impact the Big Island through the afternoon today, making their way off to the north through Friday. And by the time we get into the start of the weekend, areas like Honolulu are going to be dealing with strong winds, with our smaller islands off to the north dealing with those by Saturday morning. Stay with us. We are going to have more coverage out of Hawaii coming up.